thing. So let me hand these to you. Yeah, don't breathe.
I should have said this is Commissioner Ellis and Commissioner Hubert, and I'm Commissioner Wood.
I've learned your.
This is our county clerk, Brenda.
Hi, Brenda. We were the ones that spoke?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
And then Cindy helps us with the commissioners, and she's also our P&Z administrator as well.
Well, you made this all homey in here.
Oh yeah,
Kind of
life plants and everything.
So let me give you this. And I'm here on really a very serious matter. So
Thank you.
we made it pretty simple on the missing children thing because it is really serious. And I'm going to go over where my involvement has been in that. And I'm going to leave some extra ones here. So I'm just going to put them on this chair.
That's great.
And then everything that you see in printing, I have funded everything for many logical reasons. I'm going to give you my business card. So, and it really goes along with Are Your Children Secure? So I'm looking at bringing all my businesses to all 44 counties, right, including what I'm going to do with children. I brought one of these, which is Idaho State Police. It's their brochure. And what's important about it is you'll see an email with me setting a time to meet with Colonel Wills. So I just saw him in passing because I've been communicating with him. And Rebecca, you've been getting a lot of my emails, over the course since you and I first spoke. So, there's a collaboration and a partnership that's on this, and I'll just let you see this. And I'm ordering more an email today because that's very important for the general public to see. The other piece of information that you're going to get is, I'm pretty much of a radical person when it comes to passion on a certain element. And I don't look at what I'm going to show you as a cause. I'm going to look at as a disaster. So I printed a whole bunch of these, and I was going to say, well, how am I going to get the point across so that people can just wake up? They have to wake up. And we have more money in the federal level than we do on the county and the state level. So when I write children first, right, and that Senate or Congress isn't doing anything because I've been running for Congress. So I just printed these, and it's like, who gave it to you? Lisa. Sometimes you have to be just super bold, with what your message is going to be. And it doesn't mean that it has to be so direct, but I look at waking people up. So there's that. And so the other piece I'm going to give you, which is conversations I've had with Rebecca, but this is actually my declaration of candidacy running for sheriff. And interesting enough, there was only 3 requirements to run for sheriff.
Very few.
Very few.
It's
So,
amazing.
my son is a deputy sheriff, and he had to have background checks and have a polygraph test. I'm actually currently still running for sheriff. I didn't win the Republican vote, which is not odd. Sorry.
Are you running then as a write-in, or?
Right now, yeah, I'm continued running just as an independent.
Oh, as
just
an
like
independent.
I did. Yeah, because you really don't have.
So
any
you'll be on the
choices.
ballot then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for Ada County Sheriff. It's the same thing that happened when I ran for governor, when I didn't make the Republican vote. But in the reality of it, no one knew I was running for governor because no one saw me in the debates. I mean, you and I talked about that. So, and the same thing went on with when I ran for Congress. So, where my problem is that I was able to run for highest elected positions and didn't even have to show my driver's license or give my social security card, or an electric bill. So I'm going to change this. So this piece is extremely important because what I'm going to do with you guys, and the reason why I'm here is because I really respect all 3 of you. I really appreciated the beautiful conversation I had with Rebecca. And did you want me to be handing? You want some of these?
Extras.
Yeah, absolutely. Right here. So, and then let me get my book because like it's in school when you do your math and your teacher says to you, show me the work. Yeah. So sometimes there's a point where you just really have to show the work. So this is my beautiful daughter, Cameron, and who survived child abuse. And my son was abused, and my son is a deputy sheriff. What I'm going to be talking about here, there are a number of people that don't want me to be talking what I'm saying, but you know what? There becomes a time to where enough is enough. So as I've been running for my elected positions, I have talked as a mom. So as a mommy, I'm here just to say that I feel like I'm a renegade mom, if you want to put it that way. I'm going to do everything I can to save my children's lives along with every other child. And I have history in what I went through with my own kids and what I went through myself. And it's a torture that is like unfathomable. And I know that it hits either you have money or no money or whatever you do. So I know we're on a time frame. How many more minutes do I have? 30 seconds or
15.
I'm good? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
If you furnish lunch, you can go on for an hour.
Well, I'm
I got a lunch meeting. Let's not go there. But you got plenty of time.
I'm looking for property here starting in 60 days, so we're gonna have some fun. So this picture here is extremely shocking, which actually it's a poster. Started out as a congulated picture. Most people in Idaho wouldn't think that we have over 50 children missing.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. And so what I want to do is I want to show you the means to the madness on this. You can go there. And actually, Tylee is on there. Is one of the pictures. I couldn't even put all the kids on that picture. So I want to take you through my show and tell here for a moment. So I was arrested on December the 10th by Sheriff Bartlett. I know that for a fact, and I was attending the Idaho Sheriff's Association, and there were 7 sheriffs waiting for me, and at that time I was already a sheriff's candidate. The reason why I became a candidate is because I had been asking Sheriff Bartlett, and it went on for a number of years. So when I was running for Congress, I wanted to put a meeting together about how many children that were committing suicide, how many children were homeless. I mean, the list went on, and I was going through all that torture with my daughter at the same time. And Sheriff Bartlett had niggle-legged to meet, and then I had continued to need to work with Ada County. So when I was running for governor, I reached out to Sheriff Bartlett, and I had a one-on-one with Sheriff, and on the back of this poster, which is actually becoming signs, and what I'm showing you is not a nonprofit, it's not a for-profit. What I've been doing is really putting a strategy together, copying the strategy of Neighborhood Watch, how Neighborhood Watch started. So Neighborhood Watch started by the community, and then it was actually then snowballed by the Sheriff's Association. And if you go into Wikipedia, I'll send you that history. But you know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. But what I know is that through all this time that I'm going through things with my children, I'm, you know, in business very heavily. And so, you guys, it's okay. It's good. I don't see prevention going on like, hey, child predators, here, we're watching you. I don't see this. So then if you think about when a child is kidnapped, an Amber Alert, which most people don't know, I came rushing home, by the way, because little Tyler Pope that went missing, Ryan Pope, missing. The day that he went missing, everyone's calling me going, there's no Amber Alerts going off. Well, most people don't understand that Amber Alerts are based on you have to see the perpetrator. And on top of that, even going into the car. So the majority of child predators aren't going to be seen doing it. They're a little more skilled than that. So there are hundreds of thousands of parents that cry every day because no Amber Alert went off. So the bottom line tomorrow is I'm doing an emergency meeting over at the Eagle City Council because I'm going to be calling for an emergency press conferences throughout the whole state that we will start Idaho as doing an alert so that anytime a child goes missing, an alert has to go out. And I've laid out an infrastructure how it can trickle down and trickle up from city to county to state, then to on a federal level. So this is now a new sign, and it's called Child Predators, There's No Hiding Place. And I've actually launched this in Beverly Hills 2 years ago. So I've been working really, really hard to figure out how we're going to do this on a national and on a global level. And so really, when Neighborhood Watch started, it started in New York. A girl was murdered. People shut the door because, they were afraid. And a number of neighbors ended up standing up going, we can't do this. So that's where they started Neighborhood Watch. And then actually the Sheriff's Department ended up wanting to get involved. And now you took a Neighborhood Watch, which is not a nonprofit or a for-profit. It's a nothing. It serially has no classification. And what it did is it got legs through police and through sheriffs. So what I've been putting together, because I love my home and it's been really upsetting to me, especially the things that have happened, I'm not saying the last year, but the last year has been too much for me to stomach, especially what happened with the sheriff in your county, and I'm so very sorry, that the pain that you go through. I know what the pain I go through knowing that my daughter was molested. Like, what could I have done different? We think those things. So I ended up getting a tip from Chalice, Idaho. I called because I started calling all the sheriffs and all the police, and I've called yours, asking about how many children are missing. Let's talk about it, get together on it. So I ended up getting a tip because I thought that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children was actually where you list where all the children are missing. That is not the case. It's called a clearinghouse, and there's a clearinghouse for all 50 states. And in Idaho, the clearinghouse is through the Idaho State Police.
How many children are missing just in the state of Idaho?
Today, 57. So more than half of them are runaways, and that's even more of a problem. Why are they running away? We've never allocated the money necessary, and I'm going to tell you, it's not going to come from the federal government, it's not going to come from the state, it's not going to come from the county, it's going to come from private money. That's going to be the only way that we're going to be able to make sure our kids are okay.
Why do you think most of them run away?
Molested, abused, drugs, like my daughter, molested inside the family. I deal with it every single day. And yesterday I had some very high profile business people that I sat with in Idaho that now know what I've been saying. I've always been a little ahead of the curve. And in the future you guys will know what I did in business, but I've always been ahead of the curve, always. Whatever way it is, I'm a forethinker. And so I started really investigating extremely deeply on what's going on. And once I really realized that what we're dealing with missing children is this element right here. When a child goes missing, it's not a cause. It's actually the nucleus to all of these other problems. So when you talk about human trafficking and kidnapping and organ harvesting and suicide, drugs, satanic, murder, child prostitution, mental abuse, torture, sexual molestation, homelessness, incarceration, all of these elements are one category when you're talking about a missing child. So when a child goes missing, immediately with a parent, your mind, it's a number of things. It's dozens of things that could happen to your child. So that's not a cause. This is actually the nucleus of the problem. And so in 2018, we had 424,066 children reported missing in the NCIC. The
NCIC
is the National Center. That's the FBI's.
That's just in the United States.
That's just in the United States, right? When I show the numbers of what happened in California, the numbers are over 700,000 and 70,000 in the whole state, between 70 and 80,000. So what happens in California and Nevada and Utah and Arizona and Washington and Oregon affects all of us tremendously. Because when a child goes missing, that child could be in Florida the next day. Right? And this isn't an Idaho problem, this is a national problem. So what I did for homework, which took an awful lot of time, is, so this was done in October. This was my homework. And you and I spoke just a little before then. And I hadn't connected the dots yet. And I had told you that I was going deep in on the Idaho State Police. So I took this page, and I also did it with a woman by the name of Susan Regani. She's the owner of Camille Beckman, a very well-to-do family. They donate all over the country, all over the state, all over the world. So she and I went through this, and I showed her, and I said, I'm having a problem here. So you look at that poster that you have still with the missing children.
Mm-hmm, got it.
Yeah, hold that up for a second. And here's the problem. You know, it's not what Idaho State Police are doing wrong. It's the fact that they don't have enough help. So when I'm going through this and I see no pictures of a child, and then I'm talking as a CEO, when I'm going in and I'm looking at the page, and if all of a sudden you need to call law enforcement, it just has, you know, Pocatello Police Department. Well, the majority of them, when I made the phone call and said, Rose Brennan is missing, who can I speak to? Well, now I'm being transferred to someone that might not be there, because dispatch doesn't know exactly what's going on right then. And then at the same time, when you look at the information, it's case information, height, weight, there's really not that much here. But here's the significant point. Why does not the whole community, why do not every single resident in the state of Idaho know that we have the Idaho State Police website of all the children that are missing? Where's the directories? We have phone books. So when you drive around, go on the freeway or go to Boise or go to Twin Falls, how many pictures of children do you see that are missing? So how is the general public, where our law enforcement relies on the general public, but we don't know what children are missing? That's a problem. So it starts with education. And the reality is, Tylee and Joshua would have never gone as a national story if it wasn't for me. They went missing in September.
Last year?
Yes. And the national story didn't break until February. And the reason why it didn't break is like every other story of a child missing. We have Dior Kuntz, which is on your little card right there, the missing child card. Personally, I have no time to be sheriff. I deal with horror with my children every day, and I'm trying to make as much money as I can so it can all go to our kids on every business that I do. I don't even care about making it personally, just enough to live. If we don't start funding our kids and funding what's going on, because as me as a parent, I've been funding everything with my daughter over the last 4 years. Had her in my car for 6 months. Recovery treatment. Because as soon as she's in and out of Intermountain, where is she going to go? And I mean, here's something very important to know. Just even if you talk about the runaways that come back. If a child is having horror going on, where does the child go to feel safe, or who to talk to? Most of these kids don't have any place to go or to talk to. So it's like what we talk about neighborhood watch. There's certain neighbors, when there's a problem, they can talk to each other. Well, these kids they've been forgotten. We don't understand how many of them have fallen through the cracks. But when you get really simple about it, I speak publicly all over the country and I say, do you know how many children are missing in your state? And if you say you don't know, then I just gave you what the problem is. We don't know.
How many people in Idaho would actually know that answer?
Oh, I don't think even, I don't even think.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%. Around the country, people don't know. Mayors don't know, city council don't know, governors don't know. I don't know why no one knows, because I didn't know.
What would you like to see happen?
I want to see everyone do their own homework. And that's why I'm traveling all over, is everyone needs to look on their own. Just go, okay, if your child goes missing, what is the protocol?
What would you like to see happen with the sheriffs and the police departments in order to help this out? You said, they're not funded, that we don't have enough. What would you like to see happen?
I think the most important thing is that when people realize, when they just look at that poster or just go into the Idaho State Police site and say, what if it was my own child? Why don't we know where these kids are?
Why don't we have pictures of them?
Where are these parents? Why don't we have all these parents in one area going, let's have a 24-hour calling center? So that's what I'm actually doing the emergency press conference about, is that I want to put a nucleus calling center so that there's a calling center in every single county. Because when a child goes missing, there needs to be an alert. And then everyone can call each other. It can go through all the businesses. It's actually a very simple process that can happen. Simple apps. I mean, it's not a big deal. But the fact of the matter is, there has to be a bridge, just like with Neighborhood Watch. There has to be a bridge with the community. And with the community, if you really talk about the business people, as soon as a child goes missing in that city, it can go from that city to the county. And it can't all rely on Facebook, because that's not where it is. When kids are missing, and I've talked to them that have gone missing, it's amazing that they're alive. A lot of them have been held hostage all over the country. And they say, why didn't anyone show me anywhere? I'm missing. Why aren't I on a billboard? But it's more important to sell a truck. It's more important to then, of course, be in Florida and I see advertisements for potatoes. What I'm going to see happen in our state, I don't care if I have to fund it myself. I'll do it. I want to see when our child goes missing in Idaho, if Florida sees it, they know we're looking for our kids. We are misappropriating our own monies. We go on vacations. We buy our toys. We buy our RVs. Where is the money going to our own kids that go missing and that are missing? And why did they go missing? So I'm not taking no for an answer anymore. So I'm not asking anything really from anybody. I mean, that's really the words that I'm using. What I'm saying is, we have a problem. And I think if people can't connect the dots, I think the few will connect the dots as I keep talking about it. So I'm going to tell all of you that if I don't win sheriff, because I'm telling everyone they need to run. People need to get on the ballots and show how easy it is to get on the ballot. It's easier to get a library. You can get a library card, but you should actually... It's hard to get a library. Let me go backwards. It's hard to get a library card. It's hard to get a library card than to be a candidate. I don't understand that. And as all of you know, I've been getting arrested on purpose since 2014. So when I got arrested on purpose in 2014, Larry Leisure, actually is a very large developer, is one of the owners of the Grove Hotel. As soon as I filled out my paperwork at the state capitol, I walked over to the Grove Hotel to go get arrested. So I was so furious over the situation, I don't have to worry about my reputation because there's enough people that know me. But enough times, Martin Luther King showed the fact that you have to push the unjust laws. So that's what I've been doing. So right now I'm running for sheriff, and I've had warrants out for my arrest. And when I ran for Congress in 2014, I had warrants out for my arrest. When I ran in District 2, where many people voted, I had 27.9% of the votes. I had warrants out for my arrest, never hit the news, and I wanted it to hit the news because I want the news to say, hey, Lisa Marie got arrested. How can she be running for Congress? Now I hit the news when Sheriff Bartlett arrests me at the Idaho Sheriff's Association meeting, and I'm his candidate. So I meet with Sheriff Bartlett's second guy, Cliff Morgan, and I'll report to all of you about it because I'm telling Sheriff Bartlett, come clean, say what you know you need to say, or I'm going to say it. I'm telling you that in a positive way. And I've taken this nationally, and I'm not going to stop. I'm not just this Idaho girl sitting here. I'm the only woman in the country running for sheriff with three credentials. That's it. Get voted, be 21 years old, and show an address in your county. And my son is a deputy sheriff, who's not okay. So I want to say our missing children is so serious because my daughter was one of them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Is there an app maybe that could go out to all businesses that...
Absolutely. Absolutely. The simple thing about it is, you have a child that goes missing in your city. You know how simple it is? Everyone just emails each other. You have a master list for emails. I've been in sales and marketing my whole life. It's so simple to do that. So what I'm doing right now in Eagle, Idaho is I'm personally going into every single business and getting it on my own. I have 28 already. I don't care how long it takes. I'm showing everyone that that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to get the email address for every single business. And you can actually email every business all at one time. So as soon as a child goes missing, you email the businesses know this, and then the businesses then give it to all their employees. But the reality is, the reason why I gave you that package there is it's very simple. As soon as a child goes missing, print one. Put them all over the place. Parents can't fund this. You can't leave it to a parent to fund it. So let me just take your package for a moment. So what I did is, I've done all of this as an example. So here's a card. That little card could go on a person's window. This child's missing on every person's car window. Has to start that fast. And then no one gets mail anymore. So then put the child's face on a postcard. Everyone buys it and it buys the postcards, and then start mailing them all over the place. I mean, if the whole community put that much energy into it, like they put into going to baseball games and football games and tailgate parties, then we wouldn't have a problem with what we're having with our kids.
Thank you. I appreciate all your information and courage to go out there and fight this battle. It's huge.
Thank you. Okay, so the reason for the kitties, if we can just put this off, is that these kids, when they get molested, abused, they need service animals. So there's a list this long on what are we going to do with these service animals. So I happen to have 2 Chihuahuas and a Rottweiler that train kitties. So I've trained 5 kitties, and these kittens are 3 months old. They walk on leashes, and you'll be seeing videos of them. And these are going to be going to is anyone allergic? Okay.
I am.
Okay. So put the little leash on her. It's wrapped around her chest. So I actually cinched her up like my horses. And this started 3 years ago when my daughter didn't know what to do with her kitten. So I was like, you know what? I travel all over the country, so the kitten's going in the truck with the dogs. So they're very desensitized. And, you know, I mean, they're in here, but you can see how calm they are. Very desensitized. So they're literally called cat dogs. And so they are desensitized. They're beyond loving because they're touched all the time. I put them in the ocean. I put them in the water. They walk with the dogs. And that in my car, I can literally have them all around the car, and they use the car as a home base. So I let them run, they come back. Whatever it is, I know how to train them, and I've had young people training them. So this is the first business that I want to bring to your city, and it's called Reddrox Animal Rescue, and it's service animals for abused children.
Animals do wonders, so.
They do wonders. And so I'm the only one in the country really focused on how I'm doing this. So it's also a medical side of things where doctors, anything that's going to lower the stress of a child if they can't have their own animal, these animals I have prepared, and we're going to build a building especially for them. But these animals can literally just be watched, and it lowers the stress of a child.
And where can the child or the parents of a child get a hold of the animals?
Through Reddrox Animal Rescue.
She gave us a little.
I gave you my business card for my security company.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll start word of mouth. But look at this. This is a 3-month-old kitten.
Very calm.
They're very
sweet.
calm. Yeah.
Yep.
They've got literally, it takes a full year, but what I'm going to be emailing all of you is what I'm willing to do is in each county start out with one animal that you guys can be a guardian parent, put it that way. And then we can switch the kittens off. So I have 5 of them. So what I want to do is have a guardian parent. They can go to families once a month or twice a month, and that family can keep that kitten for that time so that they can get more desensitized. The more they're with other people, the more acclimated they are. So this is my job every single day right now, because service animals save children's lives. So these kids that have run away, they need help.